last night. Some are here for Call to Paradise. Happening on Friday. A number of initiatives and activities are still in progress, and some returning from after camp for the carnival period. And some family events here in the Tobago space, even over into the weekend. We saw large numbers of persons coming across, families at that, as it would appear, from Trinidad to spend that carnival period in Tobago. All right, but before we go any more into the season in itself and how that would have turned out and what we're looking forward for ahead, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian. Here's your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, 23rd February 2023. The Manta Lodge Resort in Speyside was completed and handed over to the Tobago House of Assembly. A total of $27 million was spent on refurbishing the dive resort, adding 24 rooms to the room stock in Tobago. At the handing over ceremony yesterday, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine said that soon they would be accepting proposals from the private sector for the management and operationalization of the resort. The resort was purchased by the London-led THA administration in 2014 for $8 million. However, Manta Lodge remained abandoned until 2020 when the THA engaged Udicot to refurbish it. Meanwhile, jazz is set to return at the end of April, and an official announcement is expected in March. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine responded to questions from reporters and said that the Tobago Festivals Commission is at work planning the event. He revealed that some of the artists expected for the event were the same ones confirmed for the 2020 edition before the COVID-19 pandemic forced the cancellation of jazz. Augustine also stated that his administration would prefer that private promoters manage the jazz festival in the future. And nationally, soca artist Bunji Garlin won the 2023 Road March title with his track Hard Fet. Tuco released the results yesterday, congratulating Bunji, whose real name is Ian Alvarez, and his wife Fayan Lyons for composing the song favored by many carnival bands as they crossed the stage. The song was played 135 times. Meanwhile, Nyla Blackman and Skinny Fabulous were not too far behind in second place after their song Come Home was played 106 times. Third place went to Marsha Montano's collaboration with Patrice Roberts, Like Yourself, which was played 50 times. And that was in news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Julian.
Yes, Candice, interesting in terms of the developments there. Tell me, how was the season for you, Candice? How was the carnival season for you?
Well, Julian, it was no rest. It was a lot of work and no rest. I'm still trying to recover, but it's all good.
How are you feeling after the selection for Road March? Were you a hard-fed supporter very early?
I was a Nyla and Skinny supporter, but it's okay because
us both.
Because Hard Fed is really a good Road March song. Huh? I mean, like when you really think about it, yeah. So it made sense that it won and everything like that. I mean, and like I said, Nyla and Skinny Farmers didn't do too bad either. It was actually a very tight competition between the both. But what's interesting is that the results also said that in Tobago, Marshall Montano and Patrice, their rhythm actually was played more times than Hard Fat.
Isn't that a very interesting kind of development there in the mix?
Certainly, I have no idea what was going on. But what was also interesting was we heard a lot of Olatunji's Engine Room being played. Yes. So quite a lot of the bands chose that.
In fact, where I was enjoying some of the festivities on Carnival Tuesday morning in Codler Hall, appropriately themed, the engine room in that house line indeed was certainly an indication of the engine room. But Candice, I'm also hopeful that, we spoke about this, that would have been, I think it was on Juve morning in Crown Point. And I am really hopeful that we will now look at what the hard decisions are as it relates to Carnival in Tobago. Well, thousands of dollars allocated. I am patiently waiting to hear what the spend is for Carnival 2023. And I think we have an excellent comparative now. And I think I saw a post online, and I couldn't disagree any at all. I think it was Gian that made the post, basically alluding to the fact that having had Tobago Carnival in October, and now the National Carnival, there are deficiencies in our national celebration with the Tobago leg that we have seen for time. It has just become very obvious now because of what just happened there with Tobago Carnival in October. So I'm hoping the hard decisions will be taken going forward so that we don't continue to do this kind of thing in terms of the funds being extended. We probably need to look and determine, let's reduce the extent of what we do in Tobago.
And centralize some events.
Correct. As well. Exactly. Even if it means you pick Roxborough, Crown Point, and Scarborough, pull one out of a hat. But clearly, there isn't support for 3 Juve celebrations while you have a vast majority of persons heading over to Trinidad in terms of part of the celebrations. Yes. So it'll be interesting to see how those developments go. Are you hopeful?
I am hopeful, and I mean, I even threw out the suggestion because, like I said, I know each community holds, they wanted, they begged, and that's the reason why they were in 3 locations. But maybe we rotate it because, let me tell you something, I was up in Roxborough and so on, and I did not see those vendors. I feel sorry for them because they did not make anything. They probably barely even broke even. Wow. So, I mean, because there were not the spectators there, there was not the chance to make money.
Correct. Well, Candice, I also saw, interesting enough, on social media, Rhea Richardson, George, and a jump up. I said, what is this? What is happening here? Have no fear, folks. That was camp. So, Rhea, tell us about that perspective. I saw a video being shared on social media, Rhea, regarding what appeared to be the camp celebrations. So what I hope, indeed, was the camp celebrations that Rhea is going to give us that other perspective for the carnival season. Rhea.
Good morning, Julia. Good morning to Tobago. I'll tell you this. It was certainly at camp. I jumped up. I fetted. Everything on camp. It was a beautiful experience, and of course, we can't wait for October 2023 as well as February 2024. Yes, Candice, you got caught.
Candice, in case they only came on the live here and we were saying that I fetted, she
was at
jump for Jesus. It was at camp.
It was all for Jesus. It was at camp.
I had to laugh.
Yeah. No, the good thing is that Tobago now
was extremely high, I must say. Extremely high.
Yes.
In fact, when Love pulled the screen, she said, "Where's Rhea at here?" And then we looked on long enough.
I had some bomb days at camp as well.
Thank you for putting that in, Candice.
I've never had the camp experience, but you know,
Julian, you're missing out.
That's right.
I am sure the chief sec will say the same thing. But I lend support in every possible area, really speaking to the versatility of our very own space here, right in Tobago when it comes to the festivities. Interesting enough, and viewers, feel free, man. Drop us your feedback. How was your carnival season? How was your camp experience? How was your rest and relaxation if you decided, I'm not in carnival, I'm not in camp, but this is going to be 2 days of rest and relaxation for me. Feel free to drop on the live. We thank you so much for the continued love and support. And what we got to do most importantly, without hesitation, the entire team. Viewers, you see the faces on set. You've seen Candice, you've seen Julian, you've seen Kidani, Melstar, you've seen, I almost said Dwayne, not in carnival. You've seen Luke, you've seen Kaylee, Candice. They've seen a number of faces at the front, and I must take the time out to say, folks, it's one thing for the faces you see on screen, but the technical team making it happen in the background. Parks, Nana, Drew, the entire lineup, our extended host of cameramen in the mix. Too many to mention in order to capture every side.
1 and 2.
This team really came all out. And you know, what's one of the things quite naturally is that you would constantly hear the mention of the fact that at the end of the day, if we have done it this way, for 2022, we're going to do it different for 2023. And we're going to try to be creative, and break those limits. When you think of Parks, just imagine anything you think you're not going to achieve, he's going to try it. And Nana as well, and the entire team. So really sending out kudos and commendations to our entire technical team, making it happen. And then impressive at that, Candice. Luke was back here first thing in the morning yesterday.
Yes.
I thought Dwayne would have been alone.
Luke, but he still showed up. I was impressed myself.
Now that speaks to responsibility. Now in Trinidad and Tobago, there's always the perception that we fet or we party or we go to camp and we cannot wake up the next morning to go to work
Correct.
to handle business. But no, responsibility says, regardless of what happens the night before, get up and be at work on time.
Yes, indeed. And yes, viewers, as that voice is the voice of Rhea after the camp
After camp,
experience
yes.
of 2023. All right, viewers, at this point, we head on over to Tobago in Focus.
While some persons are aware of various skills they may possess, many are still in search of what they are truly good at. The Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport is currently offering vocational skills training throughout Tobago.
Well, the Vocational Skills Training Program is one of the flagship programs coming out of the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, more so out of the Department of Community Development. This training program is used as a tool to promote lifelong learning. It's also used to empower persons as well as to engage in community development. Right? These programs are offered annually. They basically take place during all our community facilities, community centers, as well as our multipurpose facilities.
The classes are being offered to both males and females on various days, but all from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Among some of the classes being offered is plumbing, tiling, masonry, upholstery, cosmetology, and garment making. The division has also made some changes and additions to their Patience Hill facility.
We have a new facility that is being added this year to the vocational skills. This facility would have normally been called the MIC training facility at Patience Hill. We have now renamed that facility to Tobago Skills Training Center, and this would be exclusively used for all our vocational skills classes. We are proposed to host 4 of those classes at the facility.
There is much hope that members of the community will take the opportunity to learn a new skill or add to their already existing list.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
NCW Productions presents Mako and Hush, Rest, The Tour, the After Carnival release, February 26, Shaw Park Complex, 4 p.m. Come see the future in comedy, music, drama, pan, and dance, alongside some of the biggest names in entertainment, all on one stage. See performances from Shawain Winchester, Culture B, Swappy, Chappie, Ding Dong, Too Real, and Mikey Tower. Jara Nurse, Jared Balfour, KMC, Chance to Dance, comedians like The Drunken Saint, Kivo, Jerome Richardson, Kevin Sawyer, NCW, the Social Media All-Stars, and much, much more. See special appearance from the More Life Twins and newly added to the cast, Brother B. You can get your limited early bird tickets on islandetickets.com or visit any one of our advertised outlets. For more information, please call JB on 398-9107 or contact Sean at Jade Monkey Bar. Rest, the tour comes to Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you
you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It is 7:15 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Viewers, at this point, we head on into our birthday celebrations. Coming up on screen. As you know, this is a very important component for us as we share with our viewers and loyal supporters here on the Tobago Updates morning show. On screen, we have Savio Providence. Savio Providence, we're wishing you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings as you continue to enjoy the celebration. We wish you a happy birthday, Savio Providence. And we have on screen with us none other than the lady herself, Diane Baker Henry. Some know her as Administrator Diane Baker Henry. Some, it's just mommy, it's auntie, all right, sending you birthday shout-outs from Danny's, all your children, the entire family, husband, everybody wishing you a happy birthday. And of course, coming from even my very own family, wishing you a happy birthday, Mrs. Diane Baker Henry. And coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. I have a big 70 on screen that I know you should be familiar with.
Quite familiar, and over the weekend I missed the celebrations, but this is my very good friend, and I'm sending lots of love out to you this morning, St. Lambert Williams. And I tell you, it's an original name, a very unique name for a very unique gentleman. St. Lambert Williams celebrating his 70th birthday, and this happened on the 20th of February 2023.
So he celebrated on Monday.
Yes.
Yes, wishing you a happy birthday.
And he doesn't look it. He doesn't look it.
Not at all. Like Rhea get toys, don't worry, she get taken up in the hype of not the carnival, the camp celebrations.
There was a lot happening over the weekend, you know,
yes.
And it really did slip me until I saw the picture, and I'm so sorry. But love going out to this gentleman, a fine gentleman indeed, and who still has a lot to offer. He's one of those whose feet you can sit at. He's got lots and lots of stories to tell. So congratulations. Love going out to you this morning. And I trust that you continue to celebrate all week long. And still invite me over this week, I'll come.
Yes. And Lambert, certainly we want to send out those, Rhea, when you're able to reach those kinds of numbers and those heights, you know, persons like us, we kind of just have to say, by the grace of God, I hope I'm able to celebrate in that vein. Who do we have coming up this morning on the rundown, Rhea? We are out of the carnival period.
Yes.
And we are into what is known to be our period of Lent from Ash Wednesday. Who do we have on the rundown this morning?
Well, we're talking Lent. We're talking the period, observing the period of Lent. And who better to chat with us this morning? None other than Father Phil Isaac, Archdeacon of the Tobago Anglican Church. He's going to be on the program with us to give us an idea of, you know, how we continue to observe the Lenten period.
All right. And we will also have on with us this morning Regis Caruth, former assemblyman. And he will be speaking to, as most of you would be aware, today, Thursday, the Tobago House of Assembly will meet at the House, and the discussions will center around the minority leader presenting a motion of no confidence. So we're going to chat to get a little perspective from Regis Caruth, former assemblyman here within the Tobago House of Assembly.
And then we're going to wrap things up this morning chatting with Mr. Ramesh Rajman and Mr. Samuel Eastman, both representing the Aga United Farmers Development Group. And that's coming out of the East. They're going to tell us a little bit more about their Agro-Tourism Fest that's coming up. So, quite an interesting program.
Yes, quite an interesting program on the lineup this morning. All right, viewers, so we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support, and to each and every one of you connecting with us out there. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. And Rhea, you know, somebody said to me it was on Friday, when we mentioned that the close of show, and to remind the persons, turn on your notification, remember to follow Tobago Updates. He said, Julian, I could not have made a better decision being out of the country and wanting to see what was happening on the weekend. They got it live. So certainly every time we would have gone live, notifications went off. They said it didn't matter if I was cooking, I was traveling, I was on the road, where I was. I started viewing and connecting with Tobago Updates. And we want to thank each and every one of you so much for that continued love and support. We continue to be ahead and to be at the forefront because of each and every one of you. So to those of you joining us via TV, Gael and Emily, and to those of you joining us on the radio, listening in, and those connecting online with us, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
It's back. The new comedy drama stage play by Alan Charles. Midlife crisis. The kids are grown. The mortgage paid. It's now their time. That's the problem. Coming to Shore Park Complex, Tobago. 7 p.m. Saturday, 4th March. And Central Bank. 7 p.m. Saturday, 11th. And 6 p.m. Sunday, 12th March. Tickets $175. Available at A&A's Pharmacy, Port of Spain. Maranatha, San Fernando. Living Legacy Pharmacy, Arima. At the Shore Park Complex. Penny Saver and Pablo's in Tobago. Or online. www.theticketsellers.co.uk. Midlife crisis. For better, not worse.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning with Archdeacon Phil Isaac. He's the Archdeacon of the Tobago Anglican Churches here in Tobago. Well, Tobago Anglican Churches. Yeah, that's right.
In the Tobago region.
No, in the Tobago region. All right, and this morning, viewers, our focus is on observing the period of Lent. Good morning to you, Archdeacon Isaac.
Good morning, Ria. Ria, can I crave your indulgence?
Please do.
Uncle Daniel is 100 years today.
And we need to get that picture up. And that is Daniel Archer. I think we've got that picture.
Yes, well, whenever that time comes, but I just wanted to shout out to see.
But we need to definitely,
congratulations.
Before this interview is over, we want to recognize him. Now, we're talking this morning about the Lenten period here, Archdeacon Isaac. Do persons still observe the period of Lent? I think maybe 20, 30, 50 years ago even, with Carnival, from Ash Wednesday, there was no Carnival, no calypso being played on the radios. Persons went for ashes. There was a difference in culture. What happened before Carnival, leading up to Carnival, ended on Carnival Tuesday night. And with this, from the start of Wednesday morning, Ash Wednesday morning, there was a different persona. There was a different attitude and behavior. We've walked away. We've moved away from that. What has happened? Do persons still observe the period of Lent?
Persons do observe Lent, and I can tell you, I can assure you that many persons engage in what I would call self-denial. All right? They would abstain from various things during the period of Lent. But Lent and Carnival, they don't really have much in common. The idea of Lent and Carnival having that relationship would have come about throughout the years because of Mardi Gras and all that kind of thing, right? But originally, Lent was a period that was set aside for preparation for Easter. In fact, the very early church, and we're talking about like in the 325s and those times, right? The very early church prepared its candidates for baptism during and that time, 2 days of Lent. And that time further on, the 2 weeks of Lent. All right, it was never 40 days. All right, the bishops and so forth had the time to go into retreat with the candidates, and they would be baptized for Easter, because Easter is a very high celebration. Right. So that is what happened during Lent. Then it wasn't until sometime later that they decided to observe the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert. And to observe the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert, there was a little hitch. Because Sunday cannot be a fast day. Incidentally, you never knew that one.
Why was that?
Because Sunday is the weekly celebration of the resurrection. Jesus was raised on the first day of the week, and every first day of the week is seen as a cycle of a remembrance of the resurrection. So the church never kept Sunday, or the first day of the week, as a fast day. It is always a feast day. So this is why you have 47 days. You have the 40 days of Lent, and the 40 days, and then the Sundays. So that is why it comes back to Ash Wednesday. This is why it comes back to Wednesday. All right? But Wednesday starts that period when they are going to fast. And what they do, what the church does, the church goes into this solemn period, right? Where you remember who you are. Who are we? We are vulnerable, we are weak, and we are going to perish. Perish meaning that we're going to die anyway. And you try to prepare yourself, quote unquote, for heaven. You know? Some people, well, I wouldn't say some people, but I'm going to go down to the basics. When we started thinking about denial and what we deny ourselves, we remember Jesus in the desert. And Jesus was tempted. What was Jesus tempted with? He was tempted with pleasure. He was tempted with power. And he was tempted with possessions. All right? And those three are what make us human. We cannot escape having a desire for power. We cannot escape having a desire for possessions. We cannot escape having a desire for pleasure. All right? This is what makes us, or a part of what makes us human beings. Right? And this is why, for example, Satan used the opportunity to target those things with Jesus when he was in the desert.
If you bow down and worship me.
And all that. But
I give you all that already belongs to you.
You know? But Jesus saw it in a different way. As a matter of fact, those same things that seem to be very materialistic, as we would call it, are the things that really get you into heaven. All right? If you manage them, if you handle them properly. There's a story in Luke. Yeah, there's a story in Luke which talks about the master going and leaving his steward to manage things, and what the steward did, the steward used to charge high prices and so forth. And when the steward realized that the master was coming back and he might be fired, he started to give back people their goods and their properties like mad. Why? Because he's now, and what Jesus used that parable to do is to say to us, listen, you must use the things that you have around you in order to get into heaven. And how do you do that? All right? It is by managing them properly, using them for the purposes for which they were created. In Matthew 25, yes, in Matthew, he talks about persons who would have seen him and they would have offered him a drink and, you know, offered him clothing, offered him shelter and things like that. Well, in that instance, what Jesus is saying to you, because the question was asked, when did you see me and offer me a drink? When did you see me? And Jesus said, when you did it to the least of mine. So we use the material things, yes. We do not use it, as we call it, for to prosper ourselves on earth, but we use it to serve others. We use it for the benefit of, well, Jesus said the greatest among you is your servant, right? So we use those things for our heavenly benefit. And a lot of persons do not realize that, and they see prosperity in a different way.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about how Lent is now observed. What is done? What's some of the practices?
Well, the general practices, well, let me just sort of run back a little and I'll come forward.
Okay.
When I was a child, we had a little game we called Played Lent, all right? And if we caught you singing a calypso, right? Or we caught you using obscene language at that time or something, you get a little spanking, right? You used to walk around with a little fix or something like that to twitch the person. And that was it. It always reminded you. You always had that reminder there that now is the period of Lent and there are things that you must not do during Lent.
Right.
All right? I mean, today, not that, let us say we are a little more aware because, all right, singing a calypso, there are so many calypsos that, you know, the words of those, the lyrics of those calypsos are so uplifting and all this kind of thing. And they even turn on, they tell the message, the gospel message, right? I'm not just talking about, you know, specifically gospel calypso. I'm saying about some normal calypsos. We're doing commentary and all these kinds of things, you know. So that we know we are liberated beyond that. No, today people still, they would stay away from alcohol. They would stay away, some people stay away from cigarettes. Some people stay away from meat. Some people even stay away from fish. All right, according, so this is what they would do as far as that is concerned. They would set up some denial cans or things like that, right? Wherever, let's suppose somebody decides to stay away, like the children stay away from sweets, we encourage them, okay, instead of eating sweets, put the money for the sweets in a little tin, all right, and make an offering to the church at the end of the period, whatever little it is, so that at least this is going to say to you, well, this was my period of denial and this is what I did, right? So that's how we really celebrate or observe. I rather say observe than celebrate, because it is something to observe rather than celebrate.
Okay.
In these days.
All right. So this still happens, and how does the church, what are some of the activities that the church would also have in observance of Lent?
The church doesn't have any special activities in observance of Lent, but during that 40-day period, we come up with Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday, where we reenact the Jesus riding into Jerusalem. Then we come into Holy Week. We would go into the Passion, the week of the Passion. We are going to walk the same road that Jesus walked on to Calvary, you know, as we do the Stations of the Cross. And then we would have a Good Friday observance, right? So basically, those are what we are going to do. So during Holy Week, all during Holy Week, you would find every day there is some kind of activity. And during the period, the 40-day period, some churches or most churches would find an opportunity to walk the way of the cross. And that is to remind us what happened to Jesus when he was on his way to Calvary. Right?
All right, but Father Phil, Archdeacon, we've got to practice saying the correct, giving him the correct title. It's Archdeacon Phil Isaac. We are so accustomed saying Father Phil that everybody everywhere is just Father Phil, but it's Archdeacon Phil Isaac. We want to thank you for being on the program with us this morning as we continue to observe. So even during this period, persons can decide what they're going to, or what they choose to stay away from as they continue to observe the Lenten period.
I suppose, though, I didn't tell you or tell the public about the ashes. We get the ashes from burning the palm crosses that we use on Palm Sunday. And ashes would have been a mark of penitence, you know, during the olden days. You remember that persons, when they go to fast, they would sit in sackcloth and ashes. Yeah, that was a long thing. And it reminds us, ashes also reminds us as to where we are going to go. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. It reminds us of our mortality, and we are going to return there. All right? It reminds us that we need to repent before this life is over, right? When we face judgment. And while we rejoice in Jesus' coming, we regret that our lives really made it necessary for him to come.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you again for chatting with us on this issue. We've got a couple birthdays. We've got a couple birthdays before we wrap things up. We'll get the twins. Let's do the twins. We've got twin sisters, Adija and Adele, who celebrated their birthdays yesterday, their 9th birthdays yesterday. Adija and Adele, from their mom and their sisters, with love, Adija and Adele. Okay, so congratulations to you guys. Trust that you had a great one. And this is the man himself. And I want, Deacon, you've got some things you want to say here.
Well, I mean, this is a man who, what I can say about him, he worked on the port, he was a fisherman, he was a benefactor, you know, so many things about this Uncle Daniel here, right? And Daniel Archer, all right?
Definitely.
And there's him in all his glory. And that is him a couple days ago, all right? He's 100 years today. And, you know, I would like to say congratulations to him and to all the supporters who are there with him.
All right.
All right.
And the information that I have here is that he's also known as Slow Joe or Pa Joe.
Yes,
Slow
yes.
Joe or Pa Joe. And this was the official birthday. His official birthday was on February 7th. All right. And this was him on Sunday. He went to church on Sunday, and he goes for his usual morning swim at Swallows each morning as well. So you want to live as long as Pa Joe or Slow Joe, go for that morning swim, that early morning swim. And I think I'm almost certain David Morrison was giving me this story about a week or so ago about this gentleman who woke up every morning. I think David Morrison asked him, what was the secret to living so long? And he said, that early morning swim every day. So you know the secret now. All right. So there's going to be a private celebration for him with his children, grandchildren, and members of the family who would have flown in from outside. So happy birthday going out to Mr. Daniel Archer.
The award, not Martha, Shamin Archer is his daughter. Martha Archer, again, who was a noted netballer, was his daughter, Cassandra, and granddaughter. You know, so he has really put out a very good crop as well.
But I like what you said, if he put out a very good crop, he has certainly put out a very good crop. I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if I asked you guys, but I like the term. Julian would have loved this one. All right. Well, thank you so much for viewing us this morning, viewers. We've got lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. In fact, former Assemblyman Caruth is going to be coming up next with Julian Skeet. So many things happen on set here. You know, in the background, you try to keep focused. So we've got lots more coming up in the program. Stay tuned. Remember, viewers, to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
It's back. The new comedy drama stage play by Alan Charles. Midlife Crisis. The kids are grown. The mortgage paid. It's now their time. That's the problem. Coming to Shore Park Complex, Tobago. 7 p.m. Saturday, 4th March. And Central Bank. 7 p.m. Saturday, 11th. And 6 p.m. Sunday, 12th March. Tickets $175. Available at A&A's Pharmacy, Port of Spain. Maranatha, San Fernando. Living Legacy Pharmacy, Arima. At the Shore Park Complex. Penny Saver and Pablo's in Tobago. Or online. www.theticketsellers.co.uk. Midlife Crisis. For better, not worse.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
February 24th.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place
Good morning, viewers. It is 7:41 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Just certainly want to join in extending birthday greetings, going out celebrating 100. And let me say thanks as well to Corey's out there, a very good friend out there. As would have been aptly described, you know, he produced in terms of some good stock out there. Corey's being part of that. Certainly thank you so much for providing us with the current and up-to-date information as we celebrate 100 indeed. All right, viewers, at this point we head on into our interview segment this morning with former Assemblyman Regis Carruth. All right, joining us here on set this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Carruth.
Morning, Julian, and morning to the viewing public.
All right.
Good morning.
So some of you may know him. Yes, it's the same Mr. Carruth, teacher out at a number of years out of Scarborough Secondary, linguist in that area most certainly. But this morning we ain't chatting about the languages. we're speaking to the politics, and let me shout out as well. Out there, probably tuned in and looking on. Also, former Assemblyman Mr. Cecil Carruth out there in the mix as well. Brothers, the mix-up may happen occasionally. Both Carruths coming out of the Assembly, but this morning we're chatting with Regis Carruth on set with us. As we look at the discussions this morning, I want to start off by getting a perspective from you. We're just over, you know, about a year and some months into the operations of this current administration. Coming out of the Tobago House of Assembly, you would have served within that very first period within the Assembly. Then we saw a transition to a new governance for the last 20 plus years, and we're now seeing a new administration in place once again. Tell us, you know, your general feel at this point as you see the, you know, overall operations of this current administration.
Well, I would tell you that I think this present administration is trying its best, given the circumstances, okay? Mr. Farley, I think, is trying to keep the course in spite of what happened between him and the political leader of the PDP, so to speak. And I would give him all the kudos. As a young man coming into the politics, I would give him all the kudos as he tries to steer this present assembly on an even keel.
All right. Today in particular, the House meets, and it's usually, it takes place on the Tuesday, that's the fourth Tuesday monthly.
Yeah.
Today we have the discussions and rather the motion that is being brought forth by the minority leader, Kelvon Morris, which speaks to a motion of no confidence in the Secretary of Infrastructure. Before we get into the specifics of the motion, I want to touch on, is this something really new coming from the perspective of the minority bringing forward motions of no confidence within, whether it be in the Chief Secretary or other members in the majority side of the House over the time period and tenure of the Tobago House of Assembly?
I think, if my memory serves me correct, this may be the second time we have a motion of no confidence. I cannot remember exactly when that was, the first one was, but I think there was a motion of no confidence in some secretary or the chief sec sometime. Not this present chief sec, but the previous one.
All right. So this motion that is being brought forth today, what are your expectations?
Well, when I look at the structure of the motion, it alleges that there is corruption and bedrigging in the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and Urban Development, and that the Secretary knew and ought to have known about the allegations. And it goes on, it goes on to question the Secretary's suitability and competence and so on. Okay? But my question is, to open with, is it now that these practices are taking place? If not, or the mover of the motion, Mr. Morris, being a member of the previous assembly, was he aware of these practices in terms of corruption and bedrigging? And if so, did he raise an alarm? Now, if he promotes himself, in my estimation, to be an upright individual and a representative who is incensed with bedrigging and corruption, his voice should have been heard before. This administration is in office for only 1 year now. And if there is bedrigging and corruption in the assembly, in my estimation, those two allegations have not started just within the last year. It means that this has been happening for some time, and we did not hear his voice.
So we see the motion being brought in terms of, as you referred to, looking at allegations of bid rigging and corruption, also speaking to the fact that the Secretary knew or ought to have known, and also similarly looking at the conduct in relation to the allegations raised. Can we therefore anticipate the presentation from the minority leader and perhaps the minority councillor as well? And I'm not certain, but perhaps also joining in might very well be the second minority factor. I'm not certain what to call or to refer to it as, but in terms of Watson Duke as political leader of the PDP no longer supporting the majority, would you say that without a doubt we would now have to look forward in today's debate to either one, two, or all three of these individuals bringing forward issues or concerns in an effort to support this motion, or is it likely to be only the minority leader speaking to the motion from that side of the House today?
Well, given, in my estimation again, given the antagonism that we see that has surfaced in the Assembly, I expect to hear the PNM as well as Mr. Watson Duke making allegations against the president, or against the Secretary, so to speak. I expect to, but you see, in terms of anticipation, these motions, to me, do not succeed. Because remember, the ruling party has the majority.
Right, so I want you to walk us through that process. So we have the presentation, we have the debate back and forth. Walk us through, how is a motion like this successful or not successful in the House?
Well, when it comes to the voting, and I hope that, I mean to say, the mover of the motion, he has to watch his credibility. If he does not come with the necessary data and information to back up this motion, one would start looking at him in a different light. And I'm really concerned about young people and seeing what is happening in our country. Now, he is an elected representative. And if he comes to the country, to the nation, with such a motion, he must have the necessary data, information to back up his motion. If not, one would start to look at him in a different light. You see?
When a motion is brought like this, as you rightfully said, the majority side still carries whether or not this will stand.
Yeah.
And of course, it is very likely, one would almost say 99%, that the majority side will not support what is being called for. If you sit on the side of the minority leader, you may claim it as success still, even if it fails in the House, because you may say you get the opportunity to bring out information. If you sit on the majority side, you might say that the motion ultimately is nonsensical because you are not able to take it any further, bearing in mind. What's your perspective from that sense when the minority brings forward a motion of this nature?
Well, let me put it like this. The motion is against the Secretary for Infrastructure, Urban Development, and so on. And he has to come and disprove that what is alleged is not correct. He must do that because we are looking forward with eager anticipation as to his defense. He must come forward with that.
So therefore, you're saying this is an opportunity based on the motion to be able to speak to the facts and highlight the works and the achievements coming out of the division?
Precisely. Achievements, and he has to defend the allegations. The allegations must be defended to show that they are nonsensical, if the case might be. He must show that.
So in today's debate, we anticipate at least 2 key speakers. Is it commonplace, again, based on the setup of the House and for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, that in the same manner in which the allegations are made, coming from the minority leader by way of this motion, that the secretary himself, along with perhaps other colleagues, will have an opportunity to be able to respond directly in detail to these matters as you are highlighting?
Certainly, he must respond to the issues involved because, I mean, it's his character, his portfolio is under question, is under scrutiny, so to speak. So he has to respond in a positive way, you know, to dispel those arguments as put forward by the PNM, as the case might be.
Are you concerned any at all that this kind of motion coming forward will affect the credibility of this current administration in any negative way?
No, well, I'm saying if the secretary, you know, if he defends properly the allegations against him, certainly I can't see it affecting. It would affect, to me, the opposition, right? Because you can't come to the nation and make certain allegations against a person in office, a secretary in office, and then, you know, they can't stand the scrutiny. They cannot stand up to scrutiny. There must be sound allegations, and the secretary involved must retort in a positive way.
Based on the divisions at hand and in the Tobago space, we have what is considered over the years some major divisions, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is agri, and so on. Would one say that this kinds of issues being raised is not far-fetched at all because of the magnitude in terms of the value of work and contracts, etc., that come out of these divisions naturally?
Well, yes. Listen, we are dealing with human beings, and people would do anything. Some people would do anything to get an extra cent. And therefore, that is why you must have checks and balances, okay, in order to counter such measures as people might, you know, such positions as people may take in order to get something under the table, right? So that is why you have, I think the Assembly has a tenders committee, okay, to prevent the corruption and the bed rigging, so to speak. You see, because what that does, the bed rigging is a system whereby you have a lot of collusion among the bidders, so that at least one of the partners would have, or, you know, the contract, so to speak, and they share up the spoils. So the Assembly must put in place systems to counter such. I mean, this thing isn't new. We aren't inventing the wheel. It has been there for the longest while. So therefore, I'm saying that the Assembly ought to put systems in place, and I hope it has systems in place to counter such.
Coming out of the last election period, where there would have been, as you started off by alluding to, very firm objections to what has happened in the past in terms of concerns, similar kinds of concerns expressed in the past. Are you very hopeful today that most certainly those systems or options will be revealed, whether it be by the secretary or the chief secretary himself, because he has certainly taken a firm stance in the past indicating that he does not and will not support any of these kinds of actions within his administration?
Yeah, because one has to remember the last election, THA election, which was won by the PDP then, they came into power on a wave of popularity because of the allegations of corruption of the PNM administration. We could talk about the billion-dollar cultural complex. We can talk about the zip line. We can talk about the crazy and the wanton spending prior to the election, which Tobagonians objected to. So therefore, the assembly, this present assembly, ought to have learned from what, the mistakes of the previous administration and have things put in place, proper systems put in place, so that not to fall in those sort of pitfalls, so to speak.
All right, as we look to wrap this morning's interview, in your closing comments, what are you hoping for at the end of today? What do you anticipate at the end of today? Beyond, as you've already mentioned, that you don't expect the motion to be successful. But beyond that, what are your hopes in terms of going forward with the current Tobago House of Assembly?
Well, I hope that the current assembly, given this motion, they will take note as to what would be said in the assembly, and certainly try to put in measures so that such motions would not come to the fore again, such allegations would not come to the fore again. In other words, they'll be running a very transparent administration that can stand scrutiny, the scrutiny of anyone. And we also hope that the Auditor General's Department don't have any questions and queries with regard to the expenditure and so on of the Tobago House of Assembly.
All right. Indeed, one of my colleagues would have always said, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But we are hearing here the perspective of Regis Caruth, former assemblyman, indicating to us that given the circumstances today, in terms of the motion being brought forward, doesn't expect it to go very far, but ultimately, what is expected is that the administration, by way of the secretary responsible, the chief secretary, and by extension, any of the other colleagues, have a responsibility to respond with the facts and to bring the information clearly in order to respond to the concerns that will be raised coming from the minority leader in relation to this motion of no confidence. So we stay tuned and we stay connected later on today as we'll be going live from the Assembly chamber there to carry the sitting that takes place today in terms of this motion being brought forth. So thank you very much, former Assemblyman Regis Caruth.
You're welcome very much, Julian.
On set.
Welcome very much.
All right. Viewers, we continue to thank you so much for the continued love and support for the Tobago Updates morning show. This morning, I also want to give a shout out, Officer Sebro out there, traffic and making it happen. I want to say shout outs to Officer Sebro. And as well, not forgetting at all, this gentleman met me on the move and said, we are there religiously tuned in. Moses Wrecking Service. They're religiously tuned in and connected to the Tobago Updates morning show. And therefore, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support, and to encourage you to continue to stay tuned. Those of you joining us via TV, those of you listening in on the radio, and those of you connecting with us online, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
NCW Productions presents Mako and Hush. Rest. The Tour, the After Carnival release, February 26 Shore Park Complex, 4 p.m. Come see the future in comedy, music, drama, pan, and dance, alongside some of the biggest names in entertainment, all on one stage. See performances from Shawayne Winchester, Culture B, Swappy, Chappie, Ding Dong, Too Real, and Mikey Tower. Jara Nurse, Jared Balfour, KMC, Chance to Dance, comedians like The Drunken Saint, Kivo, Jerome Richardson, Kevin Sawyer, NCW, the Social Media All-Stars, and much, much more. See special appearance from the More Life Twins and newly added to the cast, Brother B. You can get your limited early bird tickets on islandetickets.com or visit any one of our advertised outlets. For more information, please call JB on 398-9107 or contact Sean at Jade Monkey Bar. Rest. The Tour comes to Tobago.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are focused at this time on the Agro-Tourism Fest that is being hosted by the Aga United Farmers Development Group. Here to chat with us, we've got Mr. Ramesh Rajman, who is the president, and Mr. Samuel Eastman, who is the PRO. Along with them this morning, Mrs. Avril Daly Brassi. I got it right. Good morning and welcome to you all. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to be.
All right, it's good to have you on the program with us. Mr. Rajman, for those viewers who are joining us for the very first time, I want you to tell us about the Aga United Development, Aga United Farmers Development Group, and what it's all about.
Well, let me say a pleasant good morning to the people of Tobago, Trinidad, and the world by extension. I'm happy to be here with Tobago and with the Tobago Update. I consider you all as a family, and whenever we call on you, you always lend a good hand with the services. We appreciate it a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay. Argyle, we are from the eastern end of Tobago, and we started, really rough, but as time roll on, we start to see things get better and better. So this event, which we call the Agro-Tourism Cool Down Fest, now it's an event that will look to enhance you know, the community, by extension, children, where we would be having various type of activities in light of whatever we encounter financially, right? Because we know we are in financial trying times, right? But nevertheless, our membership is the one that really keep us together, focused, and because we are community-based, we really striving to assist, you know, our community to help Argyle, you know, grow from strength to strength.
Okay, and I'm particularly interested, in fact, we get to Ms. Brassey, Mrs. Daly Brassey in just a little bit, but Mr. Eastman, as the PRO, what sort of measures are being put in place to ensure that information on this group is given to the public is aware that this is happening in the East and in Tobago?
Yeah, good morning, Tobago. Good morning to the whole wide world. And thanks for being here to Tobago Update. The whole complete thing is about changing or bridging the gap in Tobago. We're trying to change the attitude of the people and everything, bringing people together, and that in one accord that we can work together and stop fighting one another in the sense of this thing, what we want to do, especially the youths. We have this thing we call a treasure hunt coming up to get the whole community involved. And we want Tobago people to support it. It's not just about Argyle or wherever it is. Yes, it is because the farmers group, because we have to feed ourselves, right?
Right.
And so we want to give back because I've been in many different organizations and things. So what I'm trying to do is to use my positive energy in order to make it work. So we want the people to come out and to support what we are doing and to make Tobago a better place. Because Tobago is the second Saudi Arabia. We don't know what we have. So what we are trying to do is to get the people, everybody involved in it, because, you know, everybody on the phone. And they're being distracted. We're trying to get them away and to burn up that steam, that energy, and put it positive so that they could be focused on what they have to do and to understand what we have here in Tobago.
Okay. All right, let's bring in here the lovely Avril Daly, and she's not dropping that Daly at all. Daly Brassey. Mrs. Brassey, you recently joined the board of directors for the Argyle United Farmers Development Group. Tell us about your involvement. Now we know you from a very different background. Okay, that had nothing or very little or nothing to do with agriculture. So tell us about your involvement in this group now.
Okay, good morning, and morning to Tobago, and morning to you all for accepting us this morning. Okay,
thank you.
As being a retiree, I must say that it was something that I look forward to getting myself involved. And my sister, Karen Wilson, she, around Christmas time, they had a function, and she would have asked me to make certain delicacies for the event. And after finishing and handing over the product and everything that I would have done to Mr. Eastman, who came and collected, I sat there and I was thinking, you know, I need to do something, go back home and treat with my, you know, my people. And I asked my sister, I said, could you ask Mr. Rajman if I can be part of this? Because, well, when I was in school, I was budding in agriculture.
Okay, so you got some roots.
Yes,
okay.
I did that, you know. So it's just not about just wanting to be there. I had an interest because I used to do it in school, and but the field I was involved in for my career, it was totally different.
Yes.
But since that I'm back home now, I'm with the group, and they have so much. The ideas are, they have a wealth of ideas. So I'm there to at least give my input and see how best we can go forward and making this Argyle, this group work and be something to be reckoned with other groups in Tobago and competition Trinidad and worldwide. as Mr. Eastman would say to me, we just have to start thinking out of the box.
Out of the box, definitely.
So that we could capture different things, you know, as it relates just not to farming alone, but the ecotourism and everything else that goes with it.
All right. Now we're talking about an agro-tourism fest. Tell us what's happening, because it's a very, very interesting term. We've not heard this before. Agro-tourism fest. Tell us about this. Who's going to start, Mr. Rajman?
Okay, I will start.
Yeah.
Yes. So Agro-Tourism Fest is, as the name says, is to promote agriculture and also tourism. And we throw in the mix with Cooler Cool Down Fest.
Okay.
The reason for the Cooler Cool Down is we're coming straight out of Carnival. And people who really want to, you know, have a time to, you know, introspect on that heated activity we call Carnival. So you can come to Argyle and cool down with your cooler. It's a whole day of activity, right? We have local cuisine such as saltfish and susumba.
Yeah, I know coming out of this group, we hear all, and I tell you, it's, I mean, everything, but what we're saying, Tobago, it does lash.
Yes. We also have cow skin and pawpaw.
Go ahead.
We have a special for the pork. Somebody doing the pork very special. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
You don't want to get the pig out of the bag.
Well, the pig out of the
You
bag.
don't get the pig out of the bag. Go ahead.
Right? And other delicacies, chicken, and we also have provision from the garden in Argyle.
Right.
Right? So we are asking the community of Tobago really come out and support. It's a day of activity. Ms. Brassi will elaborate more on the events because she is the coordinator of the entire event, right? So I just really want to say thanks, you know, to the assembly because they were corporate sponsors in the event. I want to say thanks to Ms. particularly to Ms. Faith B. Israel, the Deputy Chief Secretary. When we approached her, you know, she, you know, really willing, she was willing to extend her arms to us, and hats off to the Assembly. Ms. Natasha Charles Pantin, she bought into the project, and we want to say hats off to them.
Yes.
When they do good, we talk good.
Yes.
When they do bad, we talk bad.
Yes.
Right? But for now, I can say that they understand the plight of the organization. And as a result of that, I do hope, as Ms. Pantin would have said, we are one of the better groups in Tobago, quoting her, right? And I'm hoping that other groups could be able to come up to the standard.
Yes.
Farming groups I'm talking about, not actual group, community group, but farming group could come up to the standard that we are setting. Because we are not only involved in farming, we are involved in social programs that impact the community.
Okay.
Right? So I am asking Tobago, the corporate Tobago, whenever we ask you for something, please give us, because we're putting it back into the community. It is not for an individual. You know, it's spending back right in the community.
Mr. Rajman, I want to thank you for asking so nicely. So the way you said it, my director's saying that we're almost out of time, but we want to get from Ms. Brassi here in terms of the program. You're the program coordinator. Tell us very quickly what's happening tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow's event, we expect to have like a pageant for the school children. We have 3 schools taking part. We expected more, but because of the time frame in which and the different activities that the school had, we were unable to capture more schools.
Right.
We also have a market. So the market where the farmers from Argyle will be offering the produce for sale, and they will be, well, you know, as they would have mentioned before, eats and drinks. So you come and you have the pageant we'll have prizes for the pageant and for the winners of the in different categories. All right, I must say that the students from the various schools will be portraying crops that the farmers they would you know plant Right. So we are not too sure what they're going to come with. Maybe that's a surprise. So each student is expected, I think we have a male and a female from each school. So they are expected to give us...
To wow the visitors.
Yes, definitely.
And when is all of this taking place tomorrow?
All right.
From what
We
time?
start at 7 in the morning. The opening, the secretary for Miss Pantin is going to be there. And Miss...
Faith B. Israel would be doing the presentation of the prizes around 4 p.m. thereabout.
Right. And the school activity, we expect to start by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Because, it's school, so we intend to have them in, have them do this stuff, and then they could go to the respective homes.
And where in Argyle
Okay.
are we looking at?
All right. We are looking at the Argyle Community Center, the grounds of the Argyle Community Center. This is where we're going to have everything. But the market is going to be at the front, on the left-hand side before you reach Pablo Supermarket.
Yes.
And before you, it's before the center, the entrance to the center on the left-hand side.
Okay.
So the market will be there. There will be signs and stuff, so persons can, and parking is going to be readily available. So you don't have to park on the roadway.
No, and get a ticket.
Yes.
All right.
We have the treasure hunt starts at 12 o'clock.
And the treasure hunt starts
at
and is it open to anyone?
Yeah. Just bring your money and come.
Bring your money and come.
Drag your bow.
Drag your bow. What was it cost?
$25 registration per person.
For the treasure hunt?
For the treasure hunt.
Yeah.
All right. And what are the prizes?
We have monetary prizes in the thousands. But I'm
I
not
like
going
how
to
you
give
said that.
but I'm not going to give the actual figure because it's three treasures you're looking at.
Okay.
Right? You're looking at 3 treasures. And we also have a hunting tournament also, right? Starting around 3 a.m. That is Friday morning, coming in at 7.
Okay.
Right? So we try to keep this thing alive where we will be able to have, tourism. It's a different outlook of tourism, right? So
that's right. So we start there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for being on the program with us. And remember, viewers, all of this is happening at Argyle. For further information, give us a contact for one of the members of the group. Who can persons contact for more information?
392-0277. Mr. Rajman, the president. Mr. Brassi, you will need to give
790-3113, Avril Daily Brassi.
Samuel Isman Bullet, never know Bullet, 799-0070.
You went down in low tones there. Say it one more time, Mr. Eastman.
799-0070.
All right, Mr. Samuel Eastman, a.k.a. Bullet. All right, out of Patience Hill. So, gentlemen, lady, thank you so much for being on the program with us this morning. And again, viewers, great things coming out from the East. All also from the East. No, not you, Mr. Bullet, not you, Mr. All right, thank you for being with us this morning. Lots more coming up on GMT with Candace, so stay tuned and share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Well, today was the day to look at phase 2, to look at access points to a well-deserved, or long-awaited, I should say, housing development. This has been on the books for quite a number of years, so within the next month, we should have the contract awarded, so we could bring much relief to the people of Tobago. It's north of the police station, I should say, and it's comprised of 47 acres of lands. After the RFP is sent out to the 6 shortlisted contractors, we're going to decide on who wins the bid or who wins the tender, and then we issue a contract. And from there, fireworks. We're going to experiment high-rise apartment building, but this is the first of the 4 projects that we have started to do. We have Adventure, we have Adelphi, and we have Colon. The Executive Council is trying to change the policies whereby once persons shows interest and they're selected, we could start making a mortgage payment as early as possible. We're trying to encourage other persons, probably returning residents, that they could also be part of the housing draw.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Na, 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 na. Good morning, Tobago. Na, 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 na. Wake up with Candace and Denise here. Let's go, go.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson. And viewers, well, we're going to get straight into things today because, well, today at the House at 1:30, there's going to be a special motion being brought forward by the minority leader, Calvin Morris, and that is a no confidence motion in the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, which is Mr. Trevor James. So just to give us a perspective on that, we have none other than Mr. Max James on, right? To just give us a perspective on what's on our motion this morning, this afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, good morning.
Of the times, yes.
You carry me forward. All right. So good to be with Tobago Updates again once more. Well, so the motion is asking for the removal of the Secretary of Infrastructure.
And just before you get in, let me just give it a read so that you, the viewers, can have an idea of what's happening. So the motion reads as follows: whereas the public concern about allegations of bid rigging and corruption within the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, and whereas the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development knew or ought to have known about these allegations of corruption, and whereas the Secretary's conduct in relation to allegations raises concerns about his suitability to conduct the affairs of the people of Tobago and hold public office, be it resolved that this House affirm a position of no confidence in the ability of the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development to continue to lead that division consistent with his oath of office, and be it further resolved that the House support the call of the Chief Secretary to act in accordance with Section 36(3)(c) of the Tobago House of Assembly Act to advise the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to revoke the appointment of the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development. So that is basically the motion that's going to be before the House this morning. So, Mr. James.
So the motion is really laughable. It's not going to succeed. We all know that. And these things are really designed to give a bad image of, in this case, I say the defendant, who happens to be the Secretary for Infrastructure. But what I would say is a seminal moment where we have an opportunity to share with the people how governance works in the Assembly. So I want to use that opportunity to explain to the Tobago public how the Assembly functions, how the Executive Council functions, how the whole question of tendering, which is the core of the matter, I suspect, how it functions. So there are 3 types of tendering. Let's go straight into it. because you talk about bid rigging and all of that, and collusion and chickenery and all of those things in the tendering process. So, firstly, we have sole select tendering. So I know you, I know your competencies, I know your capabilities, I know your capacity, all the things about you that I can select you to do a particular project for me. Then there is, broadly speaking, selective tendering. It's more a group kind of interface where I know a set of contractors and I also, again, know their competencies and so forth. And I also can depend on them to bring my project to fruition, from conception to fruition. But you're going to deliver the project to me on time. So I may say, let me select of this group of 15 persons or so, thereabout.
Yes.
It could be 5, but more than 1, right? Preferably to widen the scope, let's say about 15 contractors. And one will of course emerge as the successful bidder. And then you have the open tendering, where you have everybody is thrown inside and shake it, so to speak.
Certainly.
And then one is selected. Now, there's an interesting word in public service language that's called exigence, or the exigencies of the service. We know that the Executive Council is there to provide goods and services for the people, or the cabinet, for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You would recall last year when there was the inclement, severe rainfall.
Yes.
In that case, the Executive Council, or our cabinet here in Tobago, would have agreed for the secretary to do it in-house. But at the same time, you also had Carnival coming up. And there's so many things to be done. And I want the people in Tobago to understand, no government, nowhere in the whole wide world, can do everything for itself. This is why services are contracted out. And if something is exigent, meaning it is critical, is an emergency, then we still have to remember that the executive doesn't have, or the government doesn't have all the tools to do the job.
And then, I mean, on
so
that
we have to
point,
contract it out.
Certainly. And then on that point, that's where the concern arises as to whether or not the situation really does qualify for emergency works, as opposed to just, wanting to look good for Carnival.
Well, we always have to look good for Carnival.
Well,
because if you don't look for Carnival, you'll be criticized. So you do, you're damned, or you don't do, you're still damned. And it is at the end of the day, what counts is the public opinion. And from what I have seen, and I myself, I know you yourself, and lots of Tobagonians to date have driven on that road in the back of us here, and on the 2 bridges. I've never heard a negative comment from the persons who use the road. The business community loves it. The police like it, because, I mean, it's less traffic for them to have to come and wave and call and go so and go so. There's less traffic on the side here, all right? And you're opening up the interior of Scarborough is another gateway in and out of Scarborough. And it does well for business and the schools and the people who live in the area and the general population of Tobago. I think it's only Mr. Morris and his side are making noise.
No, Mr. Morris also claimed that he has evidence and he has some documentation and so on to support his claims of bid rigging, as is written in the motion, and corruption as outlined. Now, of course, he used vague terms, but, and then we had Dr. Shane Mohammed on yesterday stating, the motion is too vague. That Mr. Morris, if he does in fact has that evidence, he should be able to incorporate some of that into the wording of the motion itself.
Right. So if he was really, well, you said it, and other people seen it, he tends to be very vague. That's Mr. Morris and his team. They're very, they misinform. And one way to misinform is to be very vague, to be very broad. And therefore, if the motion, if he had serious evidence, as he says, maybe today he'll produce it. but the motion needs to have incorporated some specificity as to what he's talking about. And clearly, the motion is devoid of that particular piece of information or data, as the case may be. So, as I explained, no secretary or no minister anywhere in this whole wide world can do anything with public funds except it is approved by the cabinet, or in our Tobago case, our cabinet here, the Executive Council. If something is exigent or critical and a secretary wants to get approval, in this case, the secretaries in the Executive Council have a chat. Chief Secretary, this has to happen. What we call a round robin. Can I have approval to do this? And the members will either disapprove or approve. I think what has happened here in Tobago, what's happening is that they intent on bringing down the government here in Tobago. So they throw anything they find, wherever it goes, wherever it can stick, it sticks. So that if they bring down Trevor James, because of his track record of doing things quickly and doing things for the benefit of Tobagonians, let us aim our guns at that young man and bring him down, and then the Executive Council falls. That's their plan. Very insidious, very, very, very dangerous plan that they have, and almost, let me say, introduce a new term, almost impious. Let me even not say impious, let me say impious. And that new song will tell you how demonic their actions are.
Certainly.
Regarding the Executive Council.
And do you think that information would be brought forward today that will damage the character or the reputation of Mr. James?
Well, you remember a fellow called Jack Warner, right?
Certainly.
And he's had a track record of doing things quickly and doing things well. People are calling Trevor Tobago's Jack Warner. So we wanted the road fixed in Castara. He said, listen, let's cut the mountain and give the people who got a road to go home. That's action. Bloody Bay, let's get the tractors in and bulldozing and let us fix it. Bad Rock is next on his radar, and then the road to Bloody Bay is next on his radar. And so he has a track record of doing things quickly.
But those works are not really the source of the contention. The source of the contention are the 4 bypass roads, the 3 or 4 bypass roads that were utilizing contractors from Trinidad, that over contractors from Tobago.
Well, I explained to you and to the public a while ago, if people have the competencies, then you have to go where the competencies lie, not so? Would you select me, as I said my last time I said, you would set me to do heart surgery? Certainly not. All right, so you have to select. Suddenly Indians are not part of this country? How can it be? Who were the workers on the ground here in Tobago? They were all Tobagonians. And the governments function by way, well, they do things that are either exigent and also very important. And they have to deliver. And this administration, as we can see, they are delivering. And, you know, when people are fruitful, that's where you're going to come. They'll come after the fruits. People who are doing well. I mean, the PNM had it. They are jealous of the progress Mr. James and Mr. Augustine and his team they're engaging in. What stopped them from opening up Scarborough? And Mr. Kelvin Morris suddenly says, when he's charged with corruption, says, no, I don't want to hear about that PNM, I want to hear about this PNM. So he is implicitly accepting and acknowledging that, according to him, the past PNM is corrupt. He said, I don't want to hear about them, I ain't business with them. But he's not in governance. But we know in him, by his mind, that if he's admitting that they were corrupt, then he, by extension, that opposition has to be corrupt too.
Definitely. Now, we're getting ready to wrap this conversation, unfortunately,
Mhm.
but I want to give you a chance to basically speak to the people of Tobago and to just sort of put this whole thing into perspective. What do you want them to think about as we're getting ready to listen to the proceedings in the House later this afternoon?
Well, the administration will have another opportunity of explaining to the people and showing and demonstrating to the people of Tobago the record so far in the tenure of Mr. Farley and his team. The people will hear once more all the good things and all the good things that would have been delivered and yet to be delivered on behalf of Tobagonians with limited funds. There is no wrong in selecting somebody from Trinidad. PNM did it all the time. They had Foster Cummins here, and I had lots of PNM people here. So they can't, I mean, what really are they getting at? There's nothing wrong with selecting an Indian. What is wrong with that? They are part and parcel, and the PNM Indians who are the good Indians. Let us put it that way. But suddenly the PDP Indians are the bad Indians. By what template are you measuring that? So they're being very racist, and racist conveniently. Are they PNM? Are they Indians in the PNM party? Are they Indian ministers of government? What it is that they want? I think the PDP, or no longer PDP, Farley and his team, they're producing, and in record time. And I think the PNM are jealous of that. In the motion today, you will see Mr. Morris leading his motion, and he'll try to make the case. And the case is bound to fail. It will fail. It's a nonsensical motion. It is just hysteria and an opportunity to try and bring down. It's not good for the politics. For without cause, you want to sully the name of a secretary who is producing, very productive. And I think if Mr. Morris wants to be an opposition leader that people can respect, he must first learn not to throw stones and to damage people's reputations in the public. I think that he's talking about an old PNM, and he's now the new PNM. Well, he must begin to do things that people can respect him and not do things to bring down persons who are producing for Tobago. The question Tobagonians will have to answer: what Mr. James did, do you like it? Do you like the roads? Do you like the plans? He's delivered in King Peter's Bay. He's delivered another place in Moriah, and so forth. And he's just producing and producing and producing. Yes. That is what counts to the people. The people are happy from what they have seen, and they're also happy for the things that are announced to come.
Right.
And so far, over the year, I'm only seeing success after success. And that is not just saying it, but it is evident on the roads of Tobago.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Max James, former Assemblyman, for giving us his perspective on what's to happen later this afternoon at 1:30. The House sits, where Mr. Minority Leader Kevin Morris would bring that no confidence motion against the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James. So please don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back after this break with more on GFT.
Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky. This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Na, 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 na.
Good morning, Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, we just concluded our carnival here in Tobago, and I'm pretty sure you're wondering how did it go on a safety level. So to give us a perspective and just give us some updates on what happened over the weekend, we have none other than Officer Joseph Jordan on set with us from the CTPS to give us a little roundup. So good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning to you. Good morning to Tobago Updates. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for having me.
Great. So did we have a safe carnival?
Yes, definitely. We had an excellent, safe carnival for Tobago, barring minor events. We can go back to as far as Saturday. All right, so on Saturday we would have had the Kiddies Carnival in Scarborough, and that obviously was incident-free. And then we would have moved to Sunday in Roxborough District, where we would have had the Kiddies Carnival up there. And that would have been followed with the Juvies in the Roxborough, Scarborough, and Crown Point districts, right? So we would have had in the Crown Point district, we would have had our largest, or the larger crowd out of the three. And that was incident-free. We would have had two persons who were arrested.
Yeah, for fighting.
No, actually, no. We had an incident where two females were arrested. One for assaulting another person. That was in the early morning of the Juve. And the other person who was arrested for a prohibited weapon, mainly a taser. So that was the only two incidents, or two persons arrested, and the only two notable incidents that would have happened in the Juve across Tobago, Scarborough, but they didn't have much of a crowd. And then it would have been followed with Roxborough with the next greater proportion. And there were no incidents reported up there. So we would have moved along to the Monday afternoon, into the afternoon and night mass, where, well, Crown Point didn't have anything further for the carnival season. And we would have gone to the Roxborough district, where we had our parade of the bands in the afternoon and the night mass, as well as a mud mass in the Roxborough district. And that turned out to be a pretty large setting. I think we had over 1,500 persons participating up there. And likewise, no incidents. The police was able to treat with it, and it was an incident-free activity up there. Scarborough had its parade of the bands, and it's also its night mass. Once again, safe, nothing of significance to report. So we come to our final day on Tuesday, Carnival Tuesday, where we would have had our the Juve in Codler Hall, where that was rather mammoth. Right? Right, that was another large gathering, and persons would have enjoyed themselves. The masqueraders played themselves on the street, and most importantly, the police did not have much work to do more than to guide the persons to and from their various points. So we would have had an excellent carnival up to that point, and we would have concluded on Tuesday night with our mud ban, in particular in Scarborough. That was huge. We have an estimated crowd of over 8,000 were participating in that activity. So considering even where the larger crowds were seen, it must be taken into consideration that there were no reported incidents as relates to the carnival events. However, we would have had an unfortunate fatality on Monday.
Yes.
Right, that was just after the Juve. That's around 10:15 a.m. along the Claude Noel Highway in the vicinity of the Moses wrecking services. All right, where one male person at the age 33 would have lost his life. All right, he was the sole occupant of that vehicle, and we would have also had another accident at corner of Milford Road in Scarborough, where three persons were involved. The person ran into I think it was a T&Tech pole. Those persons were hospitalized, and don't think their injuries are, based on my last update, their injuries are not life-threatening. And on Tuesday again, we also had another RT where a vehicle ran off the road in the Goodwood area in the vicinity of the cemetery. That person would have been did not receive any significant injury. They were able to jump out of the vehicle. I think the vehicle went over a precipice. So thank God for that. So what we want to, having said that, what we want to look at is that people need to observe the speed limits in Tobago and be very careful and vigilant while traversing our nation roads. We want to
I want to also ask you though, how much did alcohol play a part in these accidents?
Well, based on it is alleged, at least the one where the incident where that ran into the post, it might have been some altercation that took place in the car. that might have resulted in the accident. The incident at Goodwood, I believe, might have been as a result of some sort of oil on the roadway that caused the person to skid and lost control. The fatal, unfortunately, that was clearly as a result of speed because the person overtook a line of car proceeding west along the Claude Nobel Highway. And well, we have to wait until the mechanical breakdown as to what would have happened to the vehicle because he didn't collide with anybody. However, sometimes things do happen to cars, so the license department would have to give us a diagnostic as to what would have transpired during, well, that resulted in the accident and the untimely and unfortunate death of that individual. So at the end of the day, speeding contributes mostly to accidents.
Yes.
As I said, the persons, as it relates to the alcohol, none of them, well, at the point in time, we can't see if alcohol played any significant part until further tests are done. So importantly, we need to be safe on the roadway, observe our road regulations so that we don't have these unfortunate things. Because when you look at our carnival for this period in Tobago, what you would have seen is very little incidents within the carnival activities.
Certainly.
And then outside of the activities, we would have had, well, as I said, one fatal and a number of accidents. So it means that it's like we are unable to strike a balance. Safety all around.
I also want to ask you because we had a restriction in place for glass bottles,
yes.
right? So glass bottles were not allowed at all for those carnival days. How much did that influence the fact that there was a virtually safe carnival? Because we know in the past, normally during Juve or something, somebody gets upset and then you just see bottles flying through the crowd and then people get injured. A lot of bystanders get injured. So how effective was that restriction?
All right, well, most importantly, what there was a regulation and legal notice, I think it is legal notice number 50, that dealt with the prohibition of glass bottles, and that took effect from 4 a.m. on Monday, the 20th, and that went up right up until 12 midnight, the 21st. So what that would have done is to totally exclude all glass bottles being paraded along the streets during that period of time. Now, what bars would have done, even though they had bottles, they would have poured it out into cups.
Right.
So there were limited amount of bottles on the street. That regulation even extended as far as being any person found 100 meters off a carnival event would have been prosecuted as it relates to that offense. However, I myself being out there, I saw a few persons with bottles in their hand, which I would have engaged. Some persons didn't know, so we asked them kindly to have it poured out. So it was not a challenge, even though those that had, they complied, because not everybody is aware of everything. All right, so that aspect of the law proved to be quite significant and very effective in managing our carnival, because we know butter pelting is a very common thing when things go wrong.
Oh so yes, had to duck quite a few in my time.
Yeah, so I would definitely, what I would want to do, I want to praise the public for having a safe carnival. They work with the police, and quite at the end of the day, there was a partnership between the police and the police, the soldiers, the patriots of the country in making Trinidad and Tobago safe during this carnival period. I want to thank our executive, our assistant commissioner, our senior soup, and all the officers that work during this carnival period in making Tobago Carnival significantly safe. And we look forward to future carnivals doing the same thing and even bettering what we have done this year.
Great. And I mean, we also want to extend our thanks and appreciation for the police in making sure that we were safe, because the police was definitely out and they were checking on things and whatnot. So I want to thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For your work, and hopefully we could be branding that could be part of the branding of our carnivals to go forward. That safety.
Safety, yeah.
Safe, because safety is so important right here in Tobago. And that could be the brand for our carnival going forward. Come to Tobago and have a safe carnival. So thank you so much again, Officer Jordan, for being on with us and giving us that update. And viewers, don't go anywhere, because we'll be back shortly with more.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
It's back. The new comedy drama stage play by Alan Charles. Midlife crisis. The kids are grown. The mortgage paid. It's now their time. That's the problem. Coming to Shore Park Complex, Tobago. 7 p.m. Saturday, 4th March. And Central Bank. 7 p.m. Saturday, 11th. And 6 p.m. Sunday, 12th March. Tickets $175. Available at A&A's Pharmacy, Port of Spain. Maranatha, San Fernando. Living Legacy Pharmacy, Arima. At the Shore Park Complex. Penny Saver. And Pablo's in Tobago. Or online. www.theticketsellers.co.uk. Midlife crisis. For better, not worse.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, we are getting into the weekend and we're getting into something fun that's going to be happening over the weekend. So the Tobago, sorry, let me just get this correct. The Tobago Drama Guild is getting ready to have another presentation or another theater production in store for us this weekend, and that is entitled A Calabash of Blood. So we have on set with us director of the Tobago Drama Guild, Mr. Tabithi, as well as one of the actors, Mr. Shabaka Thompson. Good morning and welcome to you, gentlemen. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and good morning.
Thank you for having us. And,
good morning to everybody.
Good morning, Tobago.
Yes.
Certainly. All right. So, you know, first of all, Mr. Tabithi, just give us an idea of what is the story of A Calabash of Blood. It has a very interesting name.
I think so. I read this, and the language really does it better than I could. You know, generally, the play addresses the complex relationships and politics between colonizer and the enslaved African, prevalent in the plantations that cultivated white supremacy notions up against black resistance and resilience. These themes remain relevant today. This powerful work is acclaimed for its ruthless, stark realism and is touted to be among the best plays scripted by Tobago's playwright, Eric Roach.
Wow.
who we are quite pleased and happy to keep alive. To keep alive because he has been an outstanding poet and playwright who did not receive the recognition that we think and we know he deserved.
Certainly.
Yeah, so we are doing a tribute, paying a tribute to Eric, and we are doing his plays as often as we could. And we're going to take them on tour as much as we could.
All right, and now I noticed that, you know, I mean, the theme sort of fits in well with the month that we are in. We're in the month of February, and traditionally in the States, February is Black History Month.
Absolutely.
So I'm guessing that that was not a coincidence.
It is not a coincidence. We would like very much to take the play around Tobago, particularly to the secondary schools, because it's a story that must be told.
Yes.
We would have a special night for students on Sunday, and we are hoping that we already we got some confirmed attendances for Sunday night.
Great.
So yes.
Now, Mr. Thompson, you are one of the actors in the play?
Yes, I am. I play Kanga, the good friend of the slave master who is caught between the changing times, you know, of freedom and whether, as because of his age, whether he would stay or go and embrace the new. So it's not. Roach has written him very cleverly as a comrade of the master more than a house, as I used to call them long time, house nigger or Uncle Tom, because he advises the young slaves on the field, although he works in the house, and he understands their passion for freedom. But he himself, I guess, he's made up his mind to continue with the master.
Now, what attracted you to this role?
Well, I am known to Beatty. And I have been in theater since back in the 80s. And I was in Trinidad for the lockdown. And I asked him, well, I'm here, is there theater going on? And Tobago Drama Guild is very prolific in having theater. It's one theater group that yearly has a production. So based on our conversation, he said, yes, he's doing Eric Roach play. And I was glad, again, to be back on the stage in Tobago, especially.
Certainly. And we're so happy to have you here. Now, so Tabiti, just tell me about just being able to put this play together, being able to produce it and present it to the people in Tobago.
The first thing I want to say is that we have an excellent cast of mature actors, and among them some young ones who worked with us from the time they were aged 4. So they're full of experience, you know. So, and I am pleased to be working again with Vernon. We were members with Shabaka. We were members of the National Theatre Company in the 80s, was it? Yeah. And that company bred a lot of excellent people who are still with the theater. Roma Spencer, Penelope Spencer, Mac Williams, and so on. Our cast includes Errol Blood Roberts, who is perhaps the best actor in Trinidad and Tobago. I can say that, you know, and he's working constantly in movies and on stage, and every opportunity he has to join. Other members of the cast include, Sheena Nelson, Andel Franklin, Antonio Franklin, Amanda Gregg, Tenerife Map, Sheena Nelson, I said that already. And we have a young and vibrant actor who is hitting the boards for the first time, Shade Martin.
Nice.
We have excellent backup. Franz Job is our musical director. Carrington, Miss Carrington is our choreographer. And Curtis Bechan is back with us doing the lights, assisted by Belize Bob.
Don't forget Cheryl.
Of
mega
course,
What's not
of
Cheryl?
course, the co-founder or producer, Cheryl BWT, is on stage hitting the boards, and she is a powerful actress.
Definitely.
So she also won a Best Actress Award, Best Village. Sheena Nelson won a Best Actress Award in Best Village. So
and Simon and his brother, who's been with the group from 4 years old.
Nualo. They've grown in the group. You know, they've toured with us, and our aim with this production is for the education of the youth. 2, to celebrate Black History Month. 3, to go on tour. We began a project in Georgia, and we were hoping to get the play. We are still hoping to get the play to Georgia for our emancipation, to celebrate. They have Juneteenth in America,
yes,
and we are going to go there to show them what Caribbean emancipation was like compared to theirs, you know?
Because it is a different story.
There is a different story.
Right.
Yes.
No, I mean, I am excited about this. I mean, you mentioned so many big actors and so on. Yeah. So I want you to just give the details as we're getting ready to wrap up. What is, when, where, how you're going to get tickets?
Absolutely. So?
Yes, the one and only Guild House, which is based in Birchwood Crescent.
Birchwood Triangle, number 14.
Number 14.
Ashella Drive.
Yes.
Birchwood Triangle, Lowlands. That is our own theater space.
Wonderful studio space.
Wonderful. You could contact members of the Guild. The numbers are 463-4207, 730-1959, and 721-6870. People, come out. This play is different. It is a little more than a calabash of blood. It's a whole barrel.
Of course, you get it.
No.
It's definitely entertaining and educative.
Yes.
And it's one of those plays that it's never enough to see or to know, because the history is there. And for young people particularly, I think it's a learning experience.
And it has some historical facts as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a family play. You know, it's a family play. You know, it's not one of those comedies that we see always. And this is.
And speaking of comedy, Mr. Roach has intertwined comedy through the language and through the characteristics to his being, so that the play is not. It is very much full of laughter, full of odd occasions. And you say, but wait a minute, that could have been me, you know, sort of thing. So, yeah.
What I like about the play too is that we are visiting a piece that was written some time ago, and it's in
1971.
The archive, in the archives of good plays of Trinidad and Tobago, and we need to revisit those plays again.
Yes.
And I will come anytime to perform once the play says something as it says in Calabash of Blood.
And we are certainly looking forward to it. So viewers, come out this weekend. It is on Saturday and on Sunday.
Saturday
at 8.
At 8 p.m.
And Sunday at 6 o'clock.
Sunday at 6 o'clock. So there you have it, the times and the dates. And this is taking place at the studio in Ashell Drive.
Ashella
Drive.
14 Ashella Drive. You can't miss it. It is opposite the Magdalena Grand on the road to Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
It's the first right, and you can get tickets at the door.
Okay, great.
Seating is limited, so the earlier you collect your ticket is best.
It's only $100.
And only $100.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, we need to continue supporting the arts. The Tobago Drama Guild has been doing quite a lot. And I mean, since coming out of the pandemic, they have been hitting us with some really, really amazing plays. And this is one of them that you certainly do not want to miss. All right. So thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you.
Great. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And viewers, like I said, don't miss it. And that's how we wrap the show this morning. So thank you. Have a safe and wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Tobago updates.